Welcome back everybody, this is Joe. Today I am going to show you how to write a DAX function, a measure, to do some type of calculation. We're going to do average as of a certain date forward. So when you have a data set with a bunch of years but you want to do a calculation where you filter it on the fly and only look at certain dates forward, this can definitely help you out. So start from scratch here, open up a blank canvas, brand new fresh PBIX file. If you're on Windows you can just do start Power BI desktop, open up the app. I just named mine DSBB_Power BI 2 and saved it in our DSBB folder. So if you've been following along, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, highly encourage you to subscribe. Go back and follow along up to this point with the rest of us because we've been building and building, and you'll have all of the documents saved in one place to then go back and look at. But if you're just interested in this, try to follow along even though you won't have data set, or if you're interested in just Power BI and Python, you can go back and check out those two playlists that I've made, and don't need to go all the way back to Excel. But if you're here, open Get Data, just click Get Data, or you can do it from here on the ribbon. So this will pop up and prompt you to pick some type of connection. We used Python last time to pull our data into the mix, but do text CSV this time. And we have this DSBB1_life_expectancy.csv in our DSBB folder, so go ahead and open that. And it's only 3 columns. I've already checked that the data types should come through appropriately, so no need to click transform data and look at this in Power Query. Let's just do load so we can get to the meat of the video. And 3,253, that's the correct amount of rows. We know that from prior videos as well. Just click everything after you expand it and it should make a table visual for you. It's doing automatic summations, so after we resize we can fix that by clicking these carets. And sorry if I'm blocking it, but the down arrows underneath values in this visualizations pane, click it and then do don't summarize on both year and life expectancy if they came through as integers. So now this will actually give you that 3,253 rows, and it'll show you your full data set as of right now. So we're going to start here by writing a measure. So right click, do new measure over here, and we've already done this once before. So average life expectancy. I'm doing all underscores equals, and then it's a simple one, average, and then click your life expectancy, close it, click enter. So let's take year out of this visual. So I'll exit out over there in values, and we can pull average into the table, the one we just wrote. And now you'll see it's actually doing it down here, 48.68 in total. And it's the same as what we have in here, and because it's as granular as can be, right? So your average is going to be the same as the one number that we're showing in each row. If it wasn't showing you and it was grouping it by entity, instead of clicking don't summarize, you can do average. Like now that we don't have year in here, it will actually just group it by entity for us. We've specified average. This is on the field itself. I'm doing this on the field itself, not the measure. So click it again, click the caret by the field itself, and now change it to sum or minimum or maximum. It doesn't really matter. You can change this to whatever you want just using the field. The nice thing about the measure is you can do whatever you want and drag it into the mix, and you won't actually ever need to use the field to do calcs or summations or anything. So sum doesn't really make sense, but this is just to show you that you can do a side by side here with the measure and the column. But I will get rid of the column itself. Now we're left with just entity and our measure. And this measure, we're going to leverage it here in a second when we write our 2 new measures. So from here, go to home, click enter data, and we're just going to make a table to house our measures. This is best practice, and I mentioned in the last video that we would do this. So just do measure at the top, do a 1, that's just a placeholder, and then rename the table to measure as well, and click load. So this will appear, and then we'll move our average life expectancy that we just wrote underneath the new measure table, the new measure entity. So click on your measure, go to measure tools, home table, and then click measure. And then from there, you can go to your measure table, click that measure placeholder and just delete it, and click OK. And then you'll notice that this table here will change to a little calculator depending on your version of Power BI. It might not, and don't worry if it doesn't. But the point is, Microsoft and Power BI know that people do this and it's best practice. So all of your measures should go to the same place, and we will write them all from here now. So right click measure and then do new measure. And then from here, let's hard code this to make a point. So if we just do average life expectancy, still don't think that's right, expectancy, years 2000 forward. We do equals, and then we do a shift enter. We'll start with calculate, and you'll see that calculate requires two inputs, an expression and a filter. So I'll do shift enter again, and this is best practice when you're formatting your DAX functions. Do an indentation and then do the two parameters that it requires. If you do another new function, do the exact same thing. So I'll demonstrate that here. But the expression is, we've already written it. We can leverage our average life expectancy. So we're going to calculate the average life expectancy measure that we already wrote. I'll do a comma, click shift enter, and now I actually want to use the filter function to filter the table. So I'll do filter, and like I just said, now the filter requires a table and a filter expression. So do a shift enter again, and we'll do everything on this indentation line now. So the table is, we only have one, it's pretty simple. DSBB 1 life expectancy, comma, shift enter. Now we're going to give it a filter expression. And like I said, we're just going to hard code this. Pick the year column and do greater than or equal to 2000. And then we can do shift enter, backspace, close the filter function. So see how that's on the same indentation. The filter function opens and closes on the same line, and its parameters are line by line indented in between that. So same thing with calculate now. We've got our first, let's do the average, and then this is the filter expression for calculate. So now we can do a shift enter, backspace, and close the calculate as well. So important point here, this helps us accomplish our goal, but it doesn't get us all of the way there. This will do 2000 forward, yes, but that's if we don't filter on a year. So drag this into the table. We'll demonstrate this. We can resize the table a bit. I'm going to bring it down to about half the size here. Let's click on this slicer, and then I'm going to do an undo there. Make sure you click off of, do another undo. Make sure you click off of the visual, then click the slicer, and it will give you a new slicer, which is what we want. And then I'm going to pull year into the slicer, and then do a filter here. Just change this to 1999 to 2016. So important note here, this is actually filtering this first measure that we wrote here, average life expectancy, here on the table, and now it's showing you 1999 to 2016. So likewise, if we do 1998 to 2016, this will update here. It'll update for every entity. It's going to filter out everything before 1998. However, this is already ignoring everything before 2000, which is why these numbers aren't the same anymore. And to prove that to you, I can change this to 2000 to 2016, and now they'll equal. And likewise, if I go after 2000, they both will equal as well, because we've hard coded this. There's nothing we're doing wrong here by filtering even more and saying, actually, I only want 2001 to 2016. They're only not going to equal when you go below 2000. So what I was saying before, this doesn't get us all the way there because it's hard coded, it's not dynamic. If I were to click the slicer, do a down arrow, and then do a list, and then only select 1 year, like after 2000, so 2010, well, this is not actually showing me 2000 forward. Now it's only showing me 2010. Both are only showing me 2010. And if I click 1990, this is only showing me 1990, and now 1990 is before 2000, so it's not showing me anything. What I really want to do is make this dynamic, right? Be able to select 1 year and then have the measure say, okay, if I select 1808, show me 1808 and everything afterwards. So that's the last measure we're going to write here. Right click measure, do new measure, and we'll actually call this, again, average life expectancy. And I'm being super descriptive so that expectancy, having a tough time spelling that today. I'm making this super descriptive so that if you come back in and you look at these measures, you know exactly what we did. We can rename these on the actual visual, but still be descriptive for the measures that we house under the measure table over here. So we'll do as of date selected, super descriptive, equals pretty much the same thing except one small change. So do your calculate, shift enter, this is good practice. We'll do average life expectancy, the first one that we wrote, not the 2000 forward one. And again, we'll do a filter. This is all the same so far, but instead of filtering on the life expectancy table, we're just going to filter the years from what we've selected forward. So let's do all of the years. So this will return just a one column of all the years in the table. So 1800 all the way to 2016. Do a comma. And now here, we are going to make the year column greater than or equal to whatever we select. So we can use this selected value and then do the year again, right? This is going to return what we select in the slicer over here. So if I do 1811, it's going to say selected value is the year, which I selected as 1811. So then it'll do the year is greater than or equal to 1811. I'm filtering this full table of what is just years. And then it'll do the average life expectancy calc on that. So close your filter, close your calculate, and let's test this out. After you click enter, this should go. Minimize this, drag this into the table. Now we have 3 columns, so I'm going to resize a little bit so that we can see. And as you can see, now we have some numbers. And of course they're different because again, this is just doing 1808 over here. This is not going to show you anything unless it's 2000 or forward, and it's still only going to show you 1 year. And this is doing, actually, it's doing 1808 forward. So how would we test if this is correct? We wouldn't really be able to do it unless we select anything except 2016, right? Because that's going to show you 1 year. So this will show you 1 year, this will show you 1 year, and this will show you 2016 forward, which is just 1 year. If I select 2015, this is going to show you 2015 only, these two, and then this one's going to show you 15 and 16. So I guess a quick test would be if I manually select 2016 as well, well, these two over here change to 79.1. So do that, and they do, right? And same thing if I do like 2014, this 79.05 now is showing me 2014 forward. So I should get 79.05 if I select 15 and 16 now, and I do over here. So working as intended, and that is how you would write the measure dynamically. And you would do this in this scenario where if you wanted to show a year selected only on the left, and then on the right, side by side in the same visual, show that year selected and forward. Could be helpful for rolling averages or something like that. So to tidy this up, I'll delete the middle one out of here because we don't want the hard-coded 2000. And just to show you what I meant, we can rename these right here, and sorry if I'm blocking it, just double click on whatever is in the values to rename it, and then just do average for selected year, for example, and then you can change this to average selected year forward, or like to present or something like that. I'll call mine present, so average for selected year, average selected year to present. I'll select 1801, so in other words, this 33.57 is for the year 1801 for all these entities. This, however, is 1801 all the way to the present, to the final year in the data set. So hope that was helpful. I am going to just rename this to measure practice, or as of date practice would be probably more descriptive, and save my work. And that is all for today. I'll see you in the next one when we continue with more DAX measure writing. Take care.